Hello everyone and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you 3 of my best bets for tomorrow's racing. Before we get into those, just quickly do our usual recap going on how our tips ran today, and unfortunately it wasn't our finest hour. It all started though with a winner in the Group 2 Summer Mile Stakes at Ascot, as Mahatha was able to prove his class once again. He had always been a classy juvenile. He'd won two Group 3s earlier on in his career. When he was a 2-year-old, he won the Horace Hill Stakes at Newbury, and then he repeated another group win at Newbury by winning the Greenham, which is often a trial for the 2,000 guineas. And then obviously he had his setbacks last year, which kept him out of many of the top races, and then he ran that eye-catching race when he finished 5th in the QE2 Stakes, and then he came out again this year and was probably one of the most unluckiest horses at Royal Ascot. You know, when he just couldn't get a run, and he finished the best horse in the race. He pretty much finished on the bridle in the last furlong, you know, and he made up the most ground. But yeah, he finally was able to prove his class today, and he destroyed the field. And I think maybe in a race like the QE2 Stakes later in the year on Champions Day, I think he's going to be a major player in it, and I think he will win a Group 1 in time. So really impressive display by him. Afterwards, it did start to go downhill. We did put up Sir Dancelot in the July Cup. At the time, I thought he was a massive price, and he was a massive price, to be fair, because I thought he was really eye-catching at Newmarket on the Rowley Mile last time out, when he finished in 4th behind Lamato. I thought he ran okay today, finished in the midfield. At one point I did think maybe he might challenge for a place, you know, because he was finding, you know, and he was sticking to the task well, but probably 6 furlongs is just a little bit short for him. He probably does want 7, and probably again he's a Group 2 horse rather than a Group 1. But in a race where I was a bit unconvinced about Golden Horde, I thought he was too sure, and I wasn't so keen on that Commonwealth Cup performance, and the fact that I didn't think the form in behind was that good. I thought it was a bit of a messy, patchy race. It turned out to be true in some extent, because obviously he didn't win the race, but Oxted was a dream winner for Roger Till. You know, Roger Till's a trainer I got a lot of time for him. I saw 1 or 2 people fancied him in the comments below. I didn't have a penny on him, but if you did decide to back Oxted, fair play to you. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does next. Does he keep him at 6 furlongs? Does he maybe drop him back in trip, have a crack at the Nunthorpe? Who knows? But yeah, he definitely deserved his moment in the sun, and I think he could probably win another big race next time out. It'd be interesting to see what the future plans are. After that, we then had Stone of Destiny, and what was a horrible race, really. You had trouble at the start. You had just another bottle playing up in the stalls. I think he reared quite badly. He got withdrawn. Then Lahore, he wasn't happy, really. I'm not sure. Probably they should have raced him. He was quite concerned, but he did go into the stalls in the end. And then our selection, Stone of Destiny, went out slowly away. He reared, and that was pretty much the race ending move, really, that lost him the race. However, he did get into the race all right, but then just didn't have the gears to go through the field. But yeah, again, it was a messy race in there as well, because unfortunately National Anthem, he broke a leg, I think, or it didn't look very good. It looked like he sustained a leg injury, and I'd have thought he's probably passed away. I haven't heard or seen anything, but yeah, it didn't look good for him. And then he interfered with Ornate, I think it was. But yeah, commiserations to him, and thoughts go to his connections there. Yeah, it's never nice to see that, especially on the flat as well, where we always probably assume it's safer sometimes, obviously, when the horses are going over jumps, when probably more prone to seeing it. But on the flat, sometimes you just get reminded that sometimes, unfortunately, these horses can sustain these horrible injuries. And then afterwards we went to the Bunbury Cup. Vale of Kent, there was a bit of money down for him, you know, but I just think, yeah, maybe the top weight just found him out, and he's probably the kind of horse next week that will probably come out and run a blinder again. He's kind of a funny horse to work out. Normally he's typical Johnson, runs pretty much every week. One week he's absolutely mustard, the next week maybe he's not quite at the races, as it were. Maybe he still runs all right, but maybe it just takes him a little bit of a while to get to his peak maximum effect. But yeah, Vale Kent, it'll probably be one to keep an eye out for later in the year, see where he runs. But yeah, just wasn't to be today. And I don't think maybe Frankie gave him the best of rides in one way, in the sense that I just thought Frankie the last few days, he's not kind of been at the races really, in the way he's been riding. I thought he's given one or two horses a few disappointing rides, but yeah, I don't think he could have really done anything much. But I just thought he didn't push him early enough, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion there. But he'll probably come and prove me wrong and start riding plenty of winners. But I just thought he'd been going through a quiet spell the last couple of weeks. But yeah, that's how Vale of Kent ran. And then our last tip, Staghorn. Yeah, no excuses really. He ran all right for a long way, and then when he got into the home straight, he just couldn't go with the other two, Table Mountain and the Smart Prescott horse. Yeah, a bit disappointing really, because I was really impressed by the way he won at Goodwood. He was so enthusiastic, he was full of running, and he hit the line really strongly, and the form had worked out all right, you know, and I thought that was an all right race for the grade as well at Goodwood. Not sure really what happened. Maybe he just wasn't good enough on the day, or maybe the track didn't suit him. I would maybe like to give him another chance potentially, but have to see what kind of setup the race would be for me to get my money out on him again. But yeah, a bit of a frustrating day after what promised to be a good start. But enough of me talking about how today's selections went. Let's get into tomorrow's racing, and just 3 tips tomorrow. And we're going to start with my Nat Rich runs in the 225 at Hamilton, where I'm going with a horse here called Funny Man. You can currently back him 11-2 with bookmakers at the moment. Just going to recommend a win-only bet for Danny Tudhope and David O'Meara. Now, this horse finished 4th at Haydock last time, where he was quite eye-catching, but that was probably over a trip. That's slightly on the short side for this horse. That was over 1.5 miles. He's going up in trip tomorrow to 1.5 miles, which I think will probably suit him. He probably wants 1.6 miles as well. But I think this is a better stretch of stamina for him, which he'll be suited by. And he finished, like I said, a credible 4th last time out, suggesting that he'll probably come forward for the run too. And if you go back through some of his form last season, he was really progressive. He actually won quite a few races. He finished 2nd on his only visit to Hamilton last year, which is a good thing. You get a lot of course specialists that turn up at Hamilton, and you get some horses as well that just can't handle it. But I just thought this horse had a chance in this race tomorrow. He got dropped £2 by the handicapper off a mark to a mark of 80, and I think that's a workable mark for him. You know, I wouldn't be at all surprised if he still had maybe a few pounds to improve on later on this season, you know, and he could maybe go up about another £5 or £10. I think he could have a bit more to give. And David O'Meara's horses have been running a little bit better of late. I've noticed he's had a few more winners, and for me at 11-2, I think that's a fair price, and I could definitely see the money coming for him. I could see him maybe going off potentially maybe 10 of 3, 3-1 price like that. But if you can get the 11-2, I think that's a good bet, and that's why he's going to be my Nat tomorrow. I really fancy his chances to run a good race. We then don't have to wait too long for our Longshot, which runs at Lingfield on the all-weather. I'm going to take a chance with the old boy here, Pettochside, 11 years old, for John Bridger and Josephine Gordon. Now, Josephine Gordon has ridden this horse many times throughout his career and's got a good record on him, had a few wins at the likes of Goodwood and that. He's mainly done better on the turf, but he's quite lightly raced for his career anyway on the all-weather. And he ran a blinder, I thought, on his first start back after the lockdown, when he finished in 2nd place. He dead heated with Equipped actually for Mick Shannon, who I think reopposes in this race tomorrow. But I thought that was a really good effort that day, and he's now down to a mark of 65, which I think is a winnable mark for him. He still does retain some ability. Afterwards, he's run in some probably warmer races for the grade, or some more trickier contests. But this is a race tomorrow where I think he can make his presence felt, and he's currently 20-1 in a place. And if you want a fun each way chance tomorrow, take a long shot. I think Pettochside could be that. He's a horse that I think is going to either run really well, or he might just blow out. But I just think he's got a chance tomorrow of making the frame at 20-1. You know, he's a horse that I've always had a lot of time for, I should say, not time form. And I think off a mark of 65, he can be competitive off that. and Josephine Gordon knows how to get on with him. If he can get maybe away, get towards the front of the race, dictate, maybe he might get closed down in the closing stages, but if he could slip the field, then maybe he just might be able to and hang on to a place or even go and win. You know, stranger things have happened, but 20 to 1, I think that's a fair each way bet, and that's why he's going to be my long shot for tomorrow. We then end with my next best, which runs in the 3:45 at Bangor-On-Dee. A little bit of jumps racing here, going with Elysees for Tom Cannon and Alan King. Now, Alan King's stable have been in good form on the flat, but they haven't had a jumps winner yet since jumps racing resumed a couple of weeks ago. But this horse has already had a prep run in the fact that he won on the flat at Chepstow a few weeks ago, and that was actually quite a good race for the grade. And the key to this horse has always been good ground. You want to be backing him on good ground. You don't want to be backing him on soft. I remember seeing in an interview when he was a juvenile hurdler, I think when he was a 4-year-old, he won a race at Ludlow, and I saw Alan King on racing TV getting interviewed about this horse, what the future plans were and that, and he said that he didn't want soft ground. Anything soft he would hate, and the times he has run on soft, I don't know if he's just been forced to run him just to get a race into him, but Elysees absolutely hated it, and all his best form has come, like I said, on good ground, and he can be competitive of this mark tomorrow, I think, of 130. I think it's a winnable race for him, and a lot of these horses are going to need a run and haven't been seen so far this season, and Alan King does really well when he sends his runners up to Bangor-On-Dee. He's got a good record there. He's got 28% strike rate with all runners since 2015, so he does know what it takes to win round there, and he currently backed this horse at 9 to 2, and I thought that was quite a big price, really. I think Moabit is the current favourite at the time of recording for Paul Nicholls, but I think he wants a bit more cut in the ground, whereas Elysees doesn't. There shouldn't be any rain around tomorrow, and it should continue to dry out, so Elysees for me at 9 to 2, I think that's a bit of good value, and for me that's why he's going to be my next best. So they're my 3 best bets for tomorrow's racing. Just quickly recap through them. In the 2:25 at Hamilton, we go with Funny Man as my nap, 11 to 2 win bet only. In the 2:35 we go to Lingfield, Pettochside 20 to 1 each way, and then we go to the 3:45 at Bangor-On-Dee with Elysees, 9 to 2 win only bet, and hopefully he can give us a hat trick of winners. So that's all I've got to say on that score. So if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button for more videos here on my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Twitter, where my handle is at LuckyLoader15, and you can also check out my website for a full portfolio of my work, which is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. So please gamble responsibly. Hopefully we can have some winners tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.